Hello and welcome. Today is April 25th, 2019, and our webinar topic is providing top-notch service to your Medicare Part D prescription drug clients. Can everybody out there raise their hand so I know you can see my screen and hear me? Thanks, Barb. Saw you right away. All right, thanks for joining us to dive further into servicing your Part D clients. URL today partnered up with SilverScript to help get the most out of the presentation. SilverScript has been an industry leader with Part D. They have their competitive plans and their advanced enrollment technology. Wish every carrier had it, but they're the best in my eyes. We're lucky to have on the call with us today two individuals, Brian McCormick and Brennan McCarthy. So we'll hear from them later. My name is Christy Wilbert. I'm the Director of Medicare Marketing for URL. And before we get started, I just wanted to take a moment to mention a few announcements. URL will be rolling out our very own Medicare Advantage online enrollment tool. We're calling it Medicare Now. It's going to be for Medicare Advantage and PDP enrollments. We're trying to get all the top nationwide and regional carriers on the platform. So we're currently in the final stages of approval to get that up and running. Fingers crossed for a May 1st date to get that out to everybody. And you'll be hearing more about it later. It gives you the capability to sell beginning to end using technology. So you can either use it face-to-face on your appointments or over the phone. It's going to have scopes, it's going to have a CRM, it's going to be amazing. So we're really excited about it. Also, we have Gemini bonuses we're working on. So you Gemini agents, you can look for those within the next 2 weeks. And if you haven't seen it already, URL is planning our 2020 trip to Charleston, South Carolina. I'm sure you've seen the advertisement floating through on our websites. We are trying to post the people that have been qualifying or close to qualifying on our list, so you can go into my URL and see where you are for your category or line of business. We will be taking producers in each line of business, and all your business that you write counts towards your trip points. I'm personally very excited about today's topic because we get a lot of questions on how you as the agent can be more helpful when problems arise with your Part D clients. I hope that after today you can walk away with more confidence in assisting them. And I strongly believe that one of the most valuable things that we can do as your upline is provide you with the correct carriers for your clients. That's what makes you the most successful. And by that I mean are the carriers that their contracting is simplified. Commissions are paid on time. Kit ordering is a breeze because that can be a nightmare. Navigating the website's clear. You can have sales tracking and reporting. Efficient problem solving. And when we have problems that need escalated, we get quick resolution. Advanced technology. And I strongly feel that SilverScript brings all that to the table. So it is our job to bring that to you, but then it's your job to convey that to your clients. They're looking at you as the expert in the Medicare field, and just because somebody has the lowest monthly premium does not mean that your client's going to have the best experience. I think we've all learned that with the past two AEPs, the lower premium plans aren't, the best member service or even agent service focused. So keep your retentions high with a solid choice like SilverScript. We have some housekeeping items I'd like to mention. There is going to be a Q&A at the end of the session, so make sure as you're thinking of questions, you're putting it there in that icon. We will answer all of those at the end, and if there are too difficult of ones, we will get back to you later on those. Today's presentation is being recorded, so the recording and the slides will be emailed out to all of you, and then it will be posted on our YouTube page and our training content page for bingeable training. And just want to throw this in there too as well. Remember, if you come across to sell a certain product that you're maybe not contracted with, or your client is moving out of state and you're not licensed in that state, That URL is here to help you. We want to make sure that you're staying connected with that client, and we can write them on your behalf as your partner through our Orion platform. If you still don't understand how that program works, please reach out to me and we can have a one-on-one conversation about it. We have a great team that's here to support you with those. At this time, I'm going to turn control over to Brian McCormick. He's a Medicare Part D advisor with SilverScript to get us started today. Brian, you should see something pop up on your screen.
Oh, I see it. Christy, tell me which screen you see.
I see all your icons.
All right, then. Is that better?
Yep, perfect.
All right, hello, everyone. Christy does such a nice job of telling everybody that SilverScript does its job well that we should probably just end the webinar right here. Thanks, Christy, for the kind words. Yeah, I appreciate that. We do a lot of hard work, not just for URL, but also for all the agents, and we really appreciate when you notice. We had a good AEP for the last several years. We've had good, strong agent and enrollment growth for the last 5 years, and hopefully it has been well-deserved. A lot of blood, sweat, and tears from Brendan's group, who you'll hear from in just a minute, to help us get there. So here's what we wanted to do today. I'm only going to take about 20 minutes, and I'm going to hand it over to Brendan. Then we'll be able to end with lots of Q&A, which we hope that you'll have. So the URL was first asking why SilverScript is the top choice. We should share that with the agents. We love to do that. We start almost everything we do with why SilverScript is the top choice for PDP in one form or another. So here's a quick set of points. First, about CVS Health, who are we? What is the total enrollment market share? What does the Pennsylvania market share look like, as well as PDP penetration there? What's the overall market landscape, and what did the AEP look like last year for PA? So those are the things that will help identify why we're a top choice, at least from the market point of view. So first, who is CVS Health? We are a Medicare market leader. I think Christy was kind with the idea that we've been leading Part D, but let's just look at the company in terms of the enterprise. CVS Health has over 9,900 retail locations. They're in 49 states, DC, also in Puerto Rico, and a few in Brazil, which I threw in there because it's a fun tidbit of trivia that people don't generally know about CVS. We have more than 1,100 Minute Clinic locations in 33 states and DC. We have more than 92 million PBM plan members. We have 5 million customers served every single day by CVS Pharmacy. You can see all those same facts if you go to the CVS Health corporate website and look for company information. So nothing out of the ordinary there. We update that regularly to show you what the store counts are and the current state of the company. But it is a very large enterprise with businesses that stretch across the country and throughout PA. So within CVS Health, SilverScript Insurance Company is one of the businesses, right? A proud member of the CVS Health family of companies. It is the largest Medicare Part D sponsor in the country, and we'll share with you the market share data in a minute. It's an active participant in industry work groups and a speaker often at CMS conferences. And the reason for that is that we see the whole Part D thing from 3 different vantage points. We're a retailer, so that helps us see it from that point of view. We are a PBM, so we see it from that secondary point of view on behalf of everyone we do the PBM work for, and we're a sponsor. We're a Part D insurance company, so we see it from 3 different ways. CMS appreciates that we can do that, and that results in our being an active participant in work groups. And then last, we've been doing Part D plans since it began. We were one of the companies that CMS used to help launch the Part D program back in 2006, and we've been in it ever since. So that's a brief rundown on who SilverScript and CVS Health are. This is a look at the Medicare PDP landscape for 2019. What you can see here is total enrollment. So at the top, by parent organization in that yellow bar is CVS Health. 2019 total enrollment over 6.1 million. So this data is January 2019. Obviously, we were a little further into the year. These numbers will change a little bit, have changed a little bit, but 6.1 million is here on this chart because that's where we settled out after the AEP concluded. So the largest individual enrollment PDP in the country at 6.1 million. You can see the next one down at United Health is 5.2 million. So we're not only leading the market in PDP enrollment across the country, but leading it by quite a large margin. The basic enrollment to the right of that is 4.6 million. That's the plan that is known in the market as SilverScript Choice. 4.6 million members in that. So you can see it's quite a large population, much larger than the next leading plan or leading basic enrollment group. And further to the right, enhanced enrollment, 250,000. That you know of as SilverScript Plus and Allure. And then over in the far right, group enrollment, 1.3 million, is a very robust group EGWA business that we have. So all that totals up 6.1 million members. The market shares, when you look on a relative basis, look like this. So this is the year ago and current PDP market shares for the total U.S., not Pennsylvania specifically, not the CMS region, but the whole entire U.S. It shows year ago, January 2018, and this year, January 2019. As you can see, we did maintain our #1 market share across the U.S. after the AEP concluded. We had a 24.1% market share in January a year ago, and in January 2019, it was 23.9%, so relatively flat, keeping that #1 spot. United Health lost some shares, ended up at 20.4% of the PDP market. Humana dropped a little more precipitously, ended at 17.4% of the market. The big change were the last two bars. You can see that WellCare a year ago, January, was 4.3% of the total U.S. PDP market. Now they're 15.3%. It's a very large jump, but we tried to break out how much was simple organic growth within WellCare. So it's the little blue bar at the bottom. You can see they did raise their market share from 4.3% a year ago to 5.8%. I think you probably were seeing some of that growth in the market as we went through the AEP. But then they added 9.5 points almost to their overall market share because of the acquisition of Aetna. And that's the last point. On the far side, you can see that Aetna a year ago at 8.3% of the PDP market, and now it's 0 because WellCare is the parent org for that. Here's a quick look at some of the other players in the PDP market. Express Scripts was relatively flat, as was Cigna. Envision relatively flat, but with some pretty good growth in percentage terms. And then Mutual of Omaha on the right side did not make a significant impact in the PDP market in 2019, 1/10 of one share point across the country. So SilverScript kept its #1 market share throughout the U.S. How did it do in PA? The answer is relatively the same. SilverScript does maintain its #1 market share position in Pennsylvania. This is the same chart, year ago and current PDP market shares specifically for PA. CVS Health has a 28.4% share of PDP in PA. United Health down at 17.2% and dropping a little over a year ago. Humana 13.8% and dropping a little over a year ago. The same basic shifts that you see across the country also occur in WellCare at 15% of the market, and now at 0. So the Pennsylvania market share ranking is similar to that of the total U.S. Best way to think about that is if I'm an agent out that way, is that SilverScript has a #1 share in PDP across the country, and it also has a #1 share in PDP right there in PA. So let's take a quick look further out. Let's look at the forest instead of the trees for a minute. What does PDP penetration look like in Pennsylvania? Is there a market opportunity? Because it doesn't help to know that SilverScript is a leading PDP if nobody wants PDP, right? So this chart is designed to help illuminate the market position from a penetration point of view. This whole pie, all of the 100% of this pie would represent all the Medicare eligibles in Pennsylvania by CMS data as of April. 39.8% of those Medicare eligibles have a PDP. So almost 4 of every 10 PA Medicare eligibles have a PDP. So the idea that we're getting to here is that there's a strong market for PDP in Pennsylvania, and SilverScript is a leading PDP among all the ones playing in Pennsylvania to help fill that need. Here's a quick look at penetration in Pennsylvania in counties that have very high penetration. 4 in 10 Medicare eligibles in Pennsylvania have a PDP, but in these 17 counties are ones in which more than half of Medicare eligibles have a PDP. So if you're an agent who's thinking about PDP, not currently writing a lot of PDP, there are a lot of clients out there that currently have a PDP and want to switch, or don't have a PDP and want one, especially in Elk, Pine, Wayne, and the other counties that you see here. PDP penetration in excess of half of all Medicare eligibles in Pennsylvania. Just take a quick look at the PDP market landscape in Pennsylvania. This data is from Q1 Medicare, a really good and simple, easy place if you want to go look outside Medicare.gov at another easy landscape provider. There's a lot of good detail at Q1 Medicare. It's free and easy and makes sense to agents to look at. Consumers do as well, but there's a lot of information here that only agents really understand. One of the things they do every year is they do highlights of PDP and MA separately. So these are the 2019 Pennsylvania Medicare Part D prescription drug plan highlights. And one of those highlights are, what are the 5 most popular Medicare Part D plans in Pennsylvania? You can see the very first one there is SilverScript Choice. As you go down the rest of the top 5, they include AARP and Envision and Humana and WellCare. But right at the top, from the snapshot provided by Q1 Medicare, the most one of the preferred PDP plans in Pennsylvania, SilverScript Choice. If you were to go to Q1 Medicare and do a simple search, show me the lowest premium zero deductible PDP in Pennsylvania, this is the result. And we'll get to it in a minute why that's so important. But this is the market positioning that we have for Pennsylvania now. Christy said it well, we're not the lowest premium, but we are the lowest premium zero deductible plan in Pennsylvania. So if your clients are looking for the peace of mind of no deductible, we've built a lot of our business and market share on no deductible, and it is the lowest premium zero deductible plan in Pennsylvania. Here's a quick look, just graphically, to show you where a lot of the AEP volume was. We did have strong AEP results throughout Pennsylvania in 2019, but we wanted to just share with you where a lot of that was. So depending on where you're calling in from, you can see whether or not you were part of that volume, or if the clients that you know were part of that volume. But those were all the places that you can see we had very strong AEP results in PA for 2019. And there were a couple of places that we wanted to really highlight. The top PA counties for SilverScript AEP sales, you can see here. They started Montgomery and Allegheny and Bucks. I still have lots of relatives in Bucks, even though I'm talking to you from Arizona, so I was happy to see that. But very strong results throughout PA, and particularly in these counties, if any of these counties are ones you're calling in from. Another quick look at what happened during the AEP. Where did SilverScript acquire its AEP clients from? And the answer is 6 in 10 AEP enrollments were acquired from another PDP. There was a lot of shifting going on in the AEP last year. And what you can see looking at this chart is 59% of the clients that came to SilverScript had a prior plan of someone else's PDP. So to Christy's point earlier, they may have been in a lower premium plan and been dissatisfied. A lot of reasons for this shifting, but nonetheless, what you can see here is that if you're representing SilverScript among other PDPs, you're in a good position to help clients who want to move from another PDP into the SilverScript brand. So the next thing Christy was looking for is a little bit of product review. So let's move on to SilverScript product review. We built the brand on zero deductible up through this point. It's been a very attractive consumer draw, and it does apply across all 3 of the plans in Pennsylvania: SilverScript Choice, Plus, and Allure. So all 3 of the plans have a zero deductible, and all drugs, all tiers. and that is a differentiator. We do, as I said, have 3 plans, including a new point-of-sale rebate plan. That was new to Part D, new to CMS, new to Medicare. The idea there, we'll go through more in a minute, but it was the idea of taking manufacturer rebates and driving them into the retail price at point of sale. Then we'll do a quick review of the formulary network and the actual plan details. So before we get there, this is the Medicare Part D defined standard benefit chart showing where the deductible has been since 2008. You can see it has been rising. It's all the way up to $415 for 2019. It will be $435 for 2020. The deductible has risen quite a bit. On this scale, it's a little hard to see, but there's a big difference between $415 and $435 compared to something like $275. So deductibles continue to be a more and more impactful part of overall plan design and overall client worry. And all 3 SilverScript PDPs continue to offer 0 deductible on all drugs and all tiers. Here's a quick look at the 3 plans. Comprehensive coverage from SilverScript Choice with low copays, savings in preferred pharmacies, 0 deductible, all drugs, all tiers. I'll say that a lot. SilverScript Plus was our enhanced plan, was meant to provide additional coverage that was necessary for some of your clients who had heavier drug spend. Also 0 deductible on all drugs and all tiers and some coverage in the gaps. SilverScript Allure was meant to be a point-of-sale rebate plan, first of its kind in the market for Part D. And the idea was that if you were a client who had high-cost brand drugs in your medicine cabinet, and those drugs happened to be ones that had rebates, then we shared those rebates with you at point of sale. So it was the first time that anyone has been able to introduce a point-of-sale rebate PDP in the marketplace. So first of its kind, very innovative, and a lot of talk on Capitol Hill about what will happen to rebates. So this was a really, really great prelude to being able to follow whatever direction the regulation goes. A little bit more about it. A share of manufacturer rebates for SilverScript Allure is passed through to the member at point of service. It does only apply to certain drugs. Not all drugs have rebates. So some drugs have rebates, and some of the drugs that have rebates have a significant one. This would not provide a big benefit to a generic drug that doesn't have a rebate, or even to a brand drug that has a rebate that's not very big. But it does provide a very significant benefit for brand drugs that do have high rebates, and in particular has a very high impact on some of the insulin-related stuff that some of your diabetic clients might be taking. Here's a quick look at the 2019 formularies. This is, again, as of July 2018. This changes as we go through the year a little bit. I left it here because this is at what you would have seen if we were doing the plan preview. SilverScript Choice, over 3,400 drugs. SilverScript Plus and Allure, about 3,400 drugs, again, at the time of AEP start. The thing to point out here is that there are 2 formularies. They're largely the same. Most of the drugs are the same. You can see the counts aren't very different in terms of the overall total. What does change is the tiering within them. So Choice has its own PDP, and Plus and Allure share the same PDP, the same formulary. But as you can see here, very broad. Not a lot of stuff that your clients might be looking for that they won't find on a SilverScript formulary. Here's a quick snapshot at the pharmacy networks, and again, these change as we move through the year. This is the AEP first look slide that shows you where they were then. Very similar where they are today, with just minor changes. So 66,000 total pharmacies in the Choice network, more than 27,000 of which are preferred. And on the Plus and Allure side, because as is true with the formulary, Plus and Allure also share a network. 40,000 preferred pharmacies and a total of 66,000 total pharmacies. So obviously there's pharmacy lookups at CMS, at SilverScript.com for the consumer site, and at the agent portal. So you always have easy access to exactly which total number of store counts are current, and which stores are in them, and which ones are in your zip code. 1 or 2 more things we want to talk about before we get to Brendan's discussion of how to make life easy. We wanted to point out that one of the strategies SilverScript has had is retail pricing. We're trying to get to a place where we push retail pricing down to the benefit of your clients, and we refer to that as less than copay logic. So whenever somebody has a copay, let's just to make the math easier, let's say the copay is $10, but the price is $1. All they're going to pay is the $1. So they're going to pay the copay or the retail price, whichever is less. And this is a look at the 9 out of the top 10 drugs used in 2018 Choice PDP and what they were going to look like for 2019. So if you have a client on amlodipine, and I know you do, or on lisinopril or metformin, and I know you do, the idea of this chart is to show you that 9 of the top 10 drugs were going to be less than copay because of the strong negotiated discounts at the retail counter. So the copay is not always the end of the story. That's really the point here. We have many hundreds of drugs in the formulary that have a retail price that is less than the copay in the region that they're in. So we want to make sure that if anybody is looking at just plan design and seeing, oh, there's a copay at $7 versus $5, that may be true, but it's not the whole story, because often the retail price on very commonly dispensed drugs is less than the copay. Here's a quick look at plan design. This is SilverScript Choice in Pennsylvania. You can see on the retail side, the blue box there, the Tier 1 and Tier 2s are $3 and $14. Tier 3 at $43. Tier 4 is a co-share. You can also see at the top the premium's $32.50, and that is under the benchmark by almost $4.50. So that's a quick look at SilverScript Choice plan design. You can see over on the green box on the right-hand side, we do have a 90-day copay for mail service for Choice, which we've had for a couple of years. Here's a quick look at the Plus plan design. The retail preferred are as little as $1.05. On the right-hand side, you can see the mail service pharmacy zero copay for 90 days extends to both Tier 1 and Tier 2. And the SilverScript Plus premium is $59.10. So you can see what's consistent here is zero deductible, zero deductible, zero deductible, premiums as low as we can make them, and reasonable copays. Here's a quick look at SilverScript Allure. This is Pennsylvania, but it looked the same pretty much throughout the year or throughout the country. Most of the regions were very similar to this, $80 premium, which sounds like a lot, but if there is a high brand rebate that you need to take as a client, then you quickly see savings that swamp out that higher rebate or that higher premium. On the retail pharmacy side, you can see $1.05 for the first 2 tiers. So the idea of this one was really in tiers 3, 4, and 5 where those co-shares are, because the lower the prices are, the lower your share of those prices would be. So that's where really all the savings for SilverScript Allure would be for those clients that are on high drug spend and brand drugs. And that's it for me. It's 11:33. I want to turn this over to Brendan because he's going to go through some things about how best to serve clients, and then we'll go back to Christy in the Q&A when we're done.
Okay, Brendan, you should see, yep, I can see your screen.
All right, great. So, hello, everybody. My name is Brendan McCarthy. I manage the agent support team over here for SilverScript.
Brendan, do display settings and switch your screens.
Oh, it's on the wrong side. Okay.
Yep, if you just do one more over. Okay, that works too.
Good? Okay.
No. Now, just go to display settings. Next to that, if you put it back up.
All right. It's back up here?
Yep, right there. Click swap.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. All right. So, yeah, my name is Brendan McCarthy. I manage the agent support team. So if you've ever, reached out to agent support or sent an email, that was my team you were talking to. Some of you might have actually talked or heard from me directly. So one of the things that you wanted to know was, how can you best serve your clients? What are some of the things that you can do? About 40 to 50% of all inquiries we get here in agent support have to do with enrollment. So I thought it'd be best to kind of go over the whole enrollment process, from a member perspective. What do they see? What kind of things can happen and go wrong? What kind of letters and notifications are they going to get? What you can do to give them temporary ID cards if they need medications immediately. And also go over a bit about premium billing. How can they pay premiums? What options do they have, and the timing around that. So one of the things I like to say is a clean enrollment, and a clean enrollment basically means that we have all the information that we need on it. The election period is good, and we're basically good to send it over to Medicare. So some of the things that are needed on an enrollment to be complete or clean are obviously the plan name, the beneficiary information, the Medicare number, permanent mailing addresses, and obviously a signature. One thing that's pointed about the address is that the permanent address cannot be a P.O. box. So Medicare does require a physical address for that permanent residence. If there's a P.O. box provided, that enrollment is incomplete. So this is kind of an overview of everything we'll get into. This is kind of the process visually from start to finish, whether the enrollment is deemed complete or whether it's incomplete. So you kind of see if it's complete, the process of, we send that letter, the acknowledgement letter to the member within 10 days, and then some things that can happen with it. So I'll kind of go into each of these in a bit more detail. So what happens if an enrollment is incomplete or we need additional information? So let's say an enrollment is submitted with an invalid Medicare number. We're not able to verify that Medicare number in Medicare systems. So we're going to send out a letter to that member within 10 calendar days of receiving the enrollment. And that letter is going to explain to them that, we need additional information to be able to process the enrollment. And it'll give some detail on what exactly is needed. So for instance, if it's the Medicare number, we're going to ask them to provide proof of their entitlement to Medicare, mainly being that Medicare card. So once they get that letter, they now have 21 calendar days to provide that information to us. 21 calendar days or the effective date, whichever is later. So I gave a couple examples here. So let's say we received an enrollment application on March 5th, and that was requesting an April 1st effective date. If there's something missing on that enrollment, we're going to send out a letter within 10 calendar days, and they're then going to have up to April 1st to provide that missing information. The second example is if it's the enrollment is received a little bit later, closer to the effective date, and that's where that 21 calendar days is going to kick in, because that's the later the two dates. So let's say we get that enrollment request on March 27th, they'll have until April 17th to provide the missing information. So it's slightly different for AEP, where the date changes from the effective date to December 7th. So it's either December 20th or December 7th or 21 calendar days from the enrollment, whichever's later. Now, either way, that deadline is provided on the letter that the member is going to receive. So it's going to specifically point out, hey, we need this information by such and such date, or else your enrollment will be denied. And if we don't get that information, we essentially have no choice but to deny the enrollment to remain compliant with Medicare guidelines. One other thing to point out, before we send out the letter, we do make an attempt to reach out to the member via a call. Our enrollment department does make an outbound call to the member, and if that is unsuccessful, that's when we send out the letter. One thing we started doing here in the last month or so is we're trying to be a bit more proactive with the agents on these. So if there's something wrong with the enrollment, specifically with the Medicare number, not only are we going to follow this process to let the member know, but we're also going to send out an email to the agent. And we send those emails on out on a weekly basis. Sometimes we find that members don't always answer the phone. They don't always, read their mail. They might think it's junk or spam. So it's good to have the agent be a bit more involved so that they can connect with the member and let them know that there's something going on. So if an enrollment is submitted with an invalid election period, the plan has a very limited time to verify that election period before we have to deny that enrollment outright. This is a bit different than an incomplete enrollment in that we can't send out a letter asking for the correct election period. CMS does require us to notify that member within, or to make an enrollment decision within 10 calendar days of receiving the enrollment. So let's say an enrollment is submitted with an initial election period. That was the requested election period, but we determined that no, that member is not actually eligible for the initial election period. Maybe they turned 65 a couple of years ago. The plan then has just a few days to try to verify an election period. We're going to reach out to that member to say, do you have any other special election period that you qualify for? And if we're not able to get that within the first 3 days, we're going to go ahead and deny that enrollment. And the reason we do that so soon is because we need to allow ourselves time to process and send out that denial letter to meet that 10 calendar day deadline that's required by CMS. So, the takeaway from this is, just to be certain that the member does qualify for a valid election period before submitting the enrollment. So we don't want that to deny. Other things that can typically happen, let's say we do have a complete enrollment and we submit to Medicare, but the member currently is in a plan through an employer that receives subsidy from Medicare. Some employer plans, can apply for subsidy through Medicare, in which Medicare will then help them pay for their employee benefits. When this happens and the member doesn't enroll into a Part D plan, odds are they're going to lose that employer plan. So when Medicare has record of the member being part of an employer plan that's receiving subsidy, they're going to conditionally reject the Part D enrollment. When this happens, that member is given 30 days to contact us to basically say, yes, I do understand that by enrolling into SilverScript that I'm going to lose my employer coverage. And this is really important, and Medicare wants us to get this because it's not just the group prescription plan that they're going to lose. There could be medical benefits, there could be dental benefits, they could have dependents, spouses, children who are also covered. And by enrolling into the Part D plan, they could lose all of that. So that's why this additional step is required for these. So we're going to send a letter out to the member for this. And this is also a case where we do email an agent. I don't know if any of you have gotten any of these. It basically says that your enrollment is in a status of pending, and it goes over all the information, phone numbers they need to call, deadlines, because if the member does not contact us back within 30 days, we have to reject that enrollment. So talk a bit about some notifications. So what happens after the enrollment is processed, it's complete, it's clean, and we've sent it to Medicare? The first thing we're going to send out to them is an acknowledgement letter. Essentially, this letter acknowledges receipt of the enrollment, lets the member know that we're processing the enrollment. It's not a confirmation, it's just an acknowledgement that we've received it and sent it to Medicare for approval. One other thing to point out here is the effective dates. Based on CMS guidance, the requested effective date on the enrollment is not always the final effective date. We see this happen most often with the initial enrollment period. So the effective date for initial enrollment periods has to be the first available effective date. Oftentimes we see enrollments submitted requesting future effective dates. And once that enrollment is processed, that effective date is going to change the first available. So it's important that the members take a look at these letters, because the letter is going to show that actual effective date. And it'll give them the opportunity to say, wait, no, I don't want this effective date. I want a later effective date. So then it gives them the opportunity to cancel that enrollment before this one takes effect. So once the enrollment is sent to Medicare and it's approved by Medicare, we'll then send out the confirmation of enrollment letter. And this is basically a letter saying, hey, CMS approved your enrollment, you're good to go. The most important part of this letter is that the member ID card is attached to it. I mentioned before that a lot of members tend to not read their email or their mail or answer phone calls. This one's a big one here. We want to make sure that they are expecting this letter to come through, because this has their Medicare or their member card. Very shortly after they receive that confirmation of enrollment letter, they're going to get their welcome kit. The welcome kit includes the evidence of coverage, which is a massive 150-page document which explains everything about the benefits, including drug coverage, how to use the coverage at the pharmacy. It includes phone numbers and various resources, the copay premium, coinsurance information, how they can appeal. We hope they don't, but if they have to file a grievance, it gives them the direction on how to do that. It also includes an abridged formulary. It's not a comprehensive formulary. It doesn't show every single drug that's covered, but it does include the most commonly utilized medications on this formulary. It's a short, probably 13, 14, 15-page formulary. If they do want a comprehensive formulary, they can go to SilverScript.com, or you as the agent can go into the supply room in the agent portal and download that there. Welcome kit also includes a pharmacy directory, which is going to show all the network pharmacies within a proximity of their zip code. It'll also show whether it's a preferred pharmacy, if it's a long-term care pharmacy, and things like that. So occasionally, the member might not get their ID card in time. So let's say an enrollment is submitted the last few days of the month. With all the enrollment processing and mailing times, it could be, the second week of the month before they get their ID card, and perhaps they need to get medication right away. In addition to the confirmation of enrollment letter, which does include the information that the pharmacy needs, you do have the ability to go and print out a temporary ID card through the agent portal. And it's pretty easy. There's a few ways to do it. It's located in a couple places. It's under the enrollment menu, and also we have another little menu called I Want To for more utilized requests. So you can go there and you can print out a copy of that card. All you need to do on the card is write in the ID number and the name. So you might be wondering, well, what's the member's ID number? So if you don't know that from the member directly, this is something that you can find from the portal. So if you go to the reports, you can see the member ID number, and it's listed as the GID number, and that is the number that you would write on that temporary ID card. One little sidebar about the reports: if you're not using these already, I strongly encourage you to use them often, because this is what's going to show you, all the enrollments that you've submitted and their current status. Was it approved by CMS? Is it still pending? Did the member disenroll? Was the enrollment canceled? Was it denied? So it's a very, very strong tool to be able to go in and look at all of your clients' enrollment information. Talk a little bit about premium payment options, because that's another set of inquiries that we get fairly often. So SilverScript does offer many ways to pay premiums. Most common one is by direct bill. So this is where we simply send out an invoice on a monthly basis, and they pay us based on that. One thing to point out on these is that depending on the timing of the enrollments and the billing cycle, the very first invoice might not arrive until up to 45 days after the enrollment was submitted. And the reason for this is the billing cycle and the invoices go out around the 15th of every month. So let's say an enrollment is submitted on April 20th, requesting a May 1st effective date. Well, those May invoices have already gone out, so that member is not going to get a May invoice. They're not going to get their first invoice until the June invoices are generated and go out around May 15th. So if you ever get a question from one of your clients saying, I haven't received my invoice yet, the answer to that is likely they missed the invoice cutoff date for that month, and they'll get it the next month. So we're not going to penalize a member for non-payment until that first the invoice is received. However, if they want to, they still can make a payment, before they get the first invoice. So they can make that payment a few ways. They can call customer care, make a payment over the phone. They can go on SilverScript.com and set up an account there so they can pay online. They can go the old-fashioned route by mailing in a check, or just a couple of years ago, we introduced the option to take their invoice into any CVS pharmacy and pay there. So in addition to that, we also offer a few automatic payment options, and this offers peace of mind so that they don't have to worry about it. Payments are just made automatically. They can do this from a bank account, so they can request this upon their enrollment. It's part of the enrollment application. They can request that payment from a checking or savings account, and this will be paid between the 8th and the 10th of every month. If you have any current members who are interested in this, we do have a form available on the agent portal under reference materials. Just fill that out, include a copy of a voided check or a direct deposit slip, and send that in. Another option, kind of similar to payments from a bank account, but it's a payment directly from a credit or a debit card. Easy part about this is there aren't any forms required. They can simply call into customer care. They can take down the card information, and it's good from there. The third automatic payment option is a deduction from Social Security. They can opt to have their premium payment deducted from their Social Security checks. This can be requested on the enrollment form. The thing to take away from this is this does not take effect instantly. I think that's one of the common misconceptions about the Social Security deductions. It does take Medicare and Social Security a month or two to approve this request. While that's happening, we are going to send out invoices, and the member does have to make that payment directly to SilverScript until the requests for deductions are approved. So oftentimes, we get requests, hey, this member or this client should be set up for Social Security deductions, but they received this invoice. What's up with that? And most commonly, that's their first month's premium. The deductions didn't go in place, in time for the first premium, so we sent out an invoice. They do have to pay that. Even if their deductions were approved, Social Security will not go back and take any prior premiums. It's going to start as of the month they were approved. So any invoices that they received before that, they're going to have to pay those. Another thing on the Social Security deductions, we're going to send out 2 letters. The first one they're going to get to the member is the acknowledgement. It's basically saying that we've received your request to have your premiums deducted from Social Security, and we've sent that request off to Medicare. This is not an approval letter. This is basically just saying, we got the request and it's currently being reviewed by Medicare. Once the request is approved, we're going to send a second letter, with that confirmation. But like I said, any invoices they receive before getting that final confirmation letter need to be paid. And that's really all I have. Hopefully this helps you, from an enrollment and premium payment option perspective, help out your clients, because one of the most important parts is getting them enrolled. So hopefully now you kind of understand a little bit more about the internal enrollment process between SilverScript and Medicare, what information and notifications your clients can expect, and just have a general better understanding of the process. And that's it for me.
Thank you, Brendan. That was terrific information. We just had one question that maybe you could answer. It says, if a member gets a letter of missing information, I'm assuming they mean like on the application or that you're looking to obtain some more information. Does a copy also go to the agent, or is the agent notified in any way?
So a copy of the letter will not go to the agent, but we have started sending out emails to agents. So if there's something wrong with the enrollments, you know, we're doing this for the Medicare number, because I would say probably about 95% of incomplete enrollments have to do with the Medicare number. So we are on a weekly basis, you know, pulling all of that data of the incomplete enrollments and sending an email over to the agent. So hopefully that, you know, that helps the agent understand, oh, okay, there's a problem with this enrollment. Maybe I should, you know, get in contact with them and let them know.
Yeah, that's perfect. I think that's exactly the answer that they were looking for. Because when they're in the loop, obviously they can help and make sure that it's done and nothing falls off for the client.
Right. Yep.
Great, terrific job. I really appreciate everything you shared, all the knowledge. I think people will definitely take a lot of that into their everyday use, so thanks. And Brian, thank you so much for all of your information. We really appreciate your partnership, and we look forward to the rest of the year and next AEP.
Thanks, Christy. It's a two-way street. Brendan and I want to share that same sentiment. URL has been great to work with, and making it easy on all the agents. We really appreciate all the work that you do.
Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day. We'll talk again soon. Appreciate it.
Thanks,
everyone. Thank you, you too.